Hey, what's up, everybody? It's good to see you all. Hi, what's up? Woo! So, thank you for the patience and waiting for the stream. We got this lovely gentleman here now. He's excited to see you. Yeah?
I'm excited to see you. I'm excited to be here. It's
I
all
feel
super exciting.
Feels special. We're all excited to see you. It's so much fun.
It's been a big week.
Yeah. Oh, man, with the release of the IGN First stuff and just, like, we have Shadow of War to talk about today.
Yeah, that's cool.
Oh, man, it's super exciting. So, as we move into this, let's fill you guys in a little bit with how we're going to do this stuff today. The main difference out of any other normal thing that we discuss is that we are going to be having you guys choose what we'll be talking about first. Specifically, we have 4 certain segments that we want to discuss. Now, you guys who've been with us have seen within MooBot that we've been using votes. Well, that's the same thing. And in a little bit, we'll have a vote come up that will have all the options that one can do. And then when you guys have a chance to look at those various options and vote, we will talk about that thing and focus on that segment that you guys are asking. We're doing it this way, so there's a little bit less of that just us trying to grab questions out of the air kind of thing, because you guys are amazing in chat, and you're hard to read sometimes because you're very fast. So this will kind of focus the questions. We will answer questions related to that segment, and we also have some things we want to discuss specifically on that segment. So once we got all that kind of set up, let's go ahead and bring up the votes on screen. Woo, there they are. And we're opening up the poll now. Boom, that's available. So right now at the moment, I'm invisible, and I'm just a disembodied voice.
Really?
Yeah, it's a magic. But it's a fun thing. Anyway, so while you guys are checking out the vote, and I'm seeing people asking, can we summon spiders? We'll talk about... Yeah, there you go. Immediately.
Yes, you can summon spiders.
Yeah.
Fucking awesome.
Oh, man. So it's... Yeah, I see everybody understands the vote. It's working pretty well. Currently, though, the most popular vote is invalid. So...
I think that's war.
Oh, it's war. Never mind. Sorry. I messed up my colors. Oh, man. Oh, now it's between arena and war is currently where the vote is set up. Go ahead and bring us back on for a second so that we can let people know that we still have bodies. Still have bodies. That's cool.
Yeah,
so after you guys start seeing us again, we're going to just do another refresh to see what the vote will be, and then we'll move on to that segment. So it's currently looking to be pretty headed for arena right now. That seems to be the direction. So arena sounds pretty cool to me. If we want to just start with that, we'll just close it on that.
Okay.
Cool.
Cool.
So we're going to start with arena. And to do so, we're going to show you guys some stuff that are behind us, as we will eventually shrinkify and have that going. But I'm excited for arena. And also, I love this spider comment. You were just like, spiders, yes. There's been a lot of talk from you guys about spiders specifically, so absolutely appreciate it. So, actually, so we're currently looking at the Barrows now. Which is...
Barrows are cool.
Mr. Andy, it's to the arena.
Oh, I'm so...
No worries, good sir.
It's all falling apart.
It's all, I know,
I
mean, like the graves behind us, we are just buried. And it's a terrible thing. I'm getting a laugh at Andy right now.
Yeah, that one's on me.
No worries, no worries. Cool. So, anyway. This is what we want. Yes, this is the lovely one. Cool. Perfect. There we go. Back to what we want to discuss with arena. So, specifically, and to remind everybody, before I shrinkify a little bit, we are going to focus on the Nemesis system within the arena right now. So if you guys are asking questions about spiders, or you're asking questions, as I just saw one come by, we are going to focus just on this segment for the moment. So once you guys start hearing our segments, at the end of it, we will have a little question answer specifically to this part. And I see Kronos808 says, no more talk, we bring kittens. Careful with the kittens, we know the danger of the kittens. So with that, let's go ahead and shrinkify. And we'll get started talking on this. So this gentleman behind us is the first one that we saw as the first Nemesis that is like integrated into the story with the system. Care to explain a little bit or expand on it?
Yeah, so the difference between Shadow of War and Shadow of Mordor is in Shadow of Mordor, we had story missions. So the first mission that we had when we went to rescue Hergon was against the slaver. And so everybody who played that mission got the same character of the slaver.
Right.
And after they killed him, that's it. He was done. He only ever appeared within that mission. So there's 2 things that are different now. One is that even when you're within the story missions, the orcs that appear within that mission will be unique to you.
Okay.
So this guy, he's a commander. We know that he's leading the search for the Palantir in Minas Ithil, but the fact that he's Zathra the Tyrant, the fact that he's a marauder, the fact of his specific personality, his appearance, his identity, that's going to vary for everybody. So you're never going to meet Zathra the Tyrant. He's not going to be in your game.
Okay, gotcha.
But then the other difference is that once you defeat him within the story mission, he's still going to be available, and he can still potentially live on or cheat death or build on that and return back into the sandbox and back into the open world. So the Nemesis system goes into the missions more, and the orcs and the characters that we meet in the missions live on and go into the Nemesis system more as well. So the two things are much more interconnected this time.
Oh, that's awesome. So, for example, if depending on what, as we can see right now that this individual is dazed by stealth, or if they had other things that would affect them, as in you can see the tabs above them, like that would change up a story mission, because potentially this guy is more hurt by distance and long-range attacks versus than someone who's able to execute.
Yeah, it's, even within the mission, you're always going to have the benefit for going after a worm, interrogating them, getting the intel, looking at the strengths and weaknesses, planning your approach. So, and plus they have many, many more traits now. They have more abilities, they have more skills, they have more weapons, they have different armor. But at the same time, I think they're a bit more intuitive, because they now also have these classes. So you can see if this guy's a commander, even though every commander is going to be different, but you're still going to get a certain level of information because, okay, he's a commander, so he's going to be a good leader. He's going to buff the other soldiers that he's fighting with. He's going to be able to summon new troops into combat as well. So you sort of get the best of both worlds, because you get at a glance information of, okay, this guy's a tank or a commander or an assassin or a tracker. And then the tribe that he's from, whether he's from the Beastmaster tribe or in this case the Marauder tribe, that will also change up different elements of their fighting style, or they get unique weapons. So they're both sort of a little contradictory, but they're both easier to tell at a glance what this guy's going to be like an overview of his fighting style, and they're more detailed and varied as well.
Oh, that's fantastic. Actually, kind of in relation to that, I saw a question. I missed the name, but they were talking about what is dazed by specifically. But well, what about the tabs, specifically on the weaknesses side? Because I've been seeing people ask about why are there 4?
Yep. So we've broken it down. So the first one, what we call their mortal vulnerabilities. So these are things where if you can just get in one shot, you're going to be able to take this guy down. So if he's terrified of fire and you burn him, he's going to run screaming from the battle, and that's it. If you can do this one thing to him, you've gotten him beat.
Okay.
Then we have, so the dazed by, these are things that can stun them in combat. So in some ways it works a little bit more like a traditional boss fight in a game. So if he was, for example, dazed by headshots, you shoot him in the head, you've now got this window of time during which you can unleash whatever sort of attack you want on him, whether it's in melee combat or ranged or your followers attacking him. He's going to be vulnerable to anything for that brief window. Then he's going to recover and be back into combat. And then they also have vulnerabilities, so they have things that they'll take more damage from, so a particular type of attack or element or creature as well. So, and then they can mix and match those, and then the final one is just general hints. So if you've ever got someone who think, I've got no idea what I can do against this guy, he's invulnerable to anything, there's always going to be strategies that will work. But they grow a lot higher now, so now we can take them all the way up to level 60. So
level 60,
how powerful they can get, the range of skills
from
they
level
can have,
20 to 60.
how diverse they are has been expanded a lot.
Now, is that kind of like the cap around 60, or is that
at this point as well? But they can get ridiculously tough. But the flip side is now on the player side, we have more abilities, and we have more powerful gear, and we have your followers that you can bring with you that are more powerful, and the ways you can use creatures and spiders you can summon in. So there's just been a general, I guess, power inflation on both sides.
Okay, I can understand that. And then we could kind of take advantage, like, let's say Zathra the Tyrant was some crazy level 60 guy who had dazed by stealth. The idea is that if you hit him with stealth, that wouldn't necessarily take him out immediately, like mortally wounded, but after you do that attack, then the person is in a susceptible position.
Yep.
Where you can take advantage of something else that maybe would be.
Yeah, exactly. So then you can unleash on him with, you know, combat or ranged, or, you know, order your Caragor to attack him, or call in your spiders, or whatever you want to do. That's the solution to everything.
Exactly. It's calling your spiders.
Yep.
It's like not enough orcs calling the spiders. Perfect. Okay. That is legit. Let's see. I'm going to see if I can grab a quick... Nah. All right, let's move on to the next image actually related to the arena discussion. So this is the arena specifically behind us now. And so the thing about the arena that you mentioned in the video is that this is a place that once again took the Nemesis system and involved it, where this is a bunch of story missions that carry Nemesis system. So if someone who is in here, you might have actually fought within Minas Ithil a little bit.
Yes.
Yes, or no, or maybe, or...
No, definitely someone you might have met here or elsewhere. But, so there's this big coliseum, this big arena that the Gondorians have as their theatre. That's been taken over, and that's being used by the orcs for these gladiatorial battles and so on. And then we kind of... that intersects with the story at some points. But actually, every region in the game... the orcs have their own dedicated combat arenas.
Oh, that's awesome.
Because it's pretty much the way the entire Mordor or the entire orc legal system is based on resolving things by putting two guys in and having them fight to the death.
It's impressive they have a legal system.
Yeah.
The lawyer is
judge,
amazing.
Jury, executioner.
You play every single role. That's amazing. I love that idea of the two orcs having a discussion and then be like, "You've been served." It's like, "See you Thursday, I guess."
Yep, yeah. Oh, they can duel, they can challenge each other. Pretty much, if you want to sort anything out in Mordor, you do it by getting in the arena and someone's going to kill someone. But the good thing with that is it's also you can use that as a way for your orcs to prove themselves in battle, so they can infiltrate into the enemy army. So you can create bodyguards. You can also use it just as a way to make your own army more powerful. So if you've got two of your followers, you can send them into the arena, make them fight to the death, and then whoever wins is going to grow in power. So it's almost like ways to upgrade your army by taking your followers, fusing them together. Whoever survives is going to get tougher and tougher.
Right. So the idea being that you want to find, there can only be one kind of thing, or a strength where you put them together and then you get rid of those who are not as powerful through this method. All right. And those guys would give you loot as well?
The guy who dies is going to give you loot. The guy who survives is going to get tougher. So it's sort of
it's a win-win.
A great way to...
Not for them.
Yeah, to be the ruler that Mordor needs.
Ah, that's awesome.
Make Mordor great again.
Makes Mordor great again by one at a time. Gosh, okay. So actually with that, an example of potentially if someone we could see. Let's go ahead and move to the next pick that we have related here. This is our Hanok of the pit. So this is an individual mystic tank.
Yep.
And we saw, people discussing about what kind of just orcs in general would we see. But I wanted to take this opportunity to sort of break down what a mystic tank would be. So, what abilities would a mystic tribe guy have? What abilities would a tank guy have?
Yeah. So tanks in a pretty traditional video game or RPG game way are able to are able to take a lot of damage. So he's not necessarily going to be the trickiest guy to fight, but he's going to be able to absorb a lot of damage, and at various points he's going to be able to use his determination to get back into the fight even if he's wounded. So tanks are pretty straightforward but tough, and that's why Ologs often make good tanks, because they're big, they're tough, they're strong. And then the Mystic tribe, these guys are more specialized in sorcery and dark magic and so on. So they have cursed weapons, they have different abilities to even cast some spells and teleport around the battlefield. So the combination of those mystic abilities, those magical abilities with the tank is going to make him a pretty tough fight.
So I could imagine, I guess, as Talion meets this guy, and he's trying to attack this guy, and suddenly this dude, let's say, teleports behind him, massive hulking beast suddenly and attacks with that extra strength, and then you get knocked back, and since it's a tank, and it has that ability to use their determination to, I guess, to come back after being seriously injured, then it's like, it's almost that you have to find that new way of fighting this person, because it's now, they're not just big and slow anymore, he's actually quick, depending on the tribe that he's in.
Yeah, and then you're going to have to wear him down, but you're also going to have to catch him, and you're also the cursed weapons, a little bit like the Morgul blade that we saw in Fellowship of the Ring that Frodo got damaged with. So the cursed weapons are also really dangerous as well.
Right. Oh, you get hit by that, and then hopefully you don't turn this exact same colors. Maybe. Gotcha. Okay, so actually, that was what we had to discuss so far, specifically with the arena. Start asking us some questions related to this Nemesis part, and we'll start answering it. Also, during that time when we're answering these questions, we'll also be starting to take new votes for what next segment we'll be discussing. You guys will see in a moment what that will look like back behind us, but go ahead and start asking questions related to this. Like I mentioned before, if you're asking questions outside of the segment, we're going to jump over that. At the end of the stream, we'll have some more discussion on out-of-segment stuff, but then we'll get there. Like for the question of can orcs fall in love, that's not a question now. Let's see. We got from Des13707, how does the arena work?
So the arena is kind of a combination court of law, entertainment center, dueling arena. It's really where the center of orc social life within Mordor. And there's a combination. There's either missions that could be taking place in there, but then there's also the ability for you to use the arena by taking your followers and commanding them to go and fight in there as well. So you can command them in there to prove themselves, to become a spy. You can command them in there to duel against and murder enemy orcs. You can command multiples of your followers to fight to the death in there to grow in power.
Oh, that's awesome.
It really depends whether you're in control of the region because you've conquered the fortress, or whether the region's in enemy hands and you're trying to kind of build up and conquer it.
Oh, fantastic. Okay, I'm sure we have more questions on that, but let's go ahead and open the poll so that people can start voting on it. And go ahead and show them what the options are again. And we'll remove the option that you just selected a second ago so that you guys know what is left. So you got Barrows, War, and Allies left. And we'll leave that up for a little bit while we nab another question. Let's see. And so it's actually...
It's even harder to...
Yeah, now it's actually extremely hard to pick something out. Though I saw someone said vote tacos.
Yeah.
So that was an interesting...
Vote gotcha.
Vote gotcha. Hey, thank you. Let's see. Yep, okay. So originally the idea of taking questions during this time made sense, but now that you guys are writing so wickedly fast, it's significantly a bit tougher to do this. So I think now...
you can do it. You're fast.
I got one.
Pick one out.
I got one. Can we fight in the arena ourselves?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's fun because you can go there. You can have these two orcs about to fight to the death, and then you can jump down and kill one or both or dominate them. Like anytime the orcs are battling against each other is always a good opportunity to use that to your own advantage in order to ambush them. But there are some circumstances where your orcs have to fight in the arena without you interfering as well. You know, it's the which really, I'm just trying to think of the right way to say it. Like, it's a really good way to test your orcs or be able to sort of see how powerful they are, see what they can survive, level them up. Yeah.
Oh, I love that idea because sometimes it's like, I'm sorry, I can't help. You must be worthy.
Yeah. So, for example, in the case where you're trying to get the guy to prove himself as a spy, he's not going to be able to prove himself and be trusted by the other side if they see the Bright Lord jumping in and helping him out. That would clearly kind of tip them off that he's on the wrong side.
Is that
exactly? Yeah.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, so it seems like the next most popular thing is war. Overwhelmingly,
war.
Yeah, say about 60%.
For the Demolisher.
Oh yeah, it's a good
We
one.
bring war.
The Aslar is a fantastic one indeed. So let's go ahead and jump to the war section. And there we go. So as you guys can see behind us, this is Talion dominating a Graug at the moment, specifically the Siege Graug. So kind of one of the things that we wanted to sort of demonstrate and show is, if you guys recall in the Fortress thing from the first video gameplay trailer, there was a moment where Talion got on a Drake, and then, or the moment when he met the Siege Graug there. That could have been an opportunity to choose. Would you prefer the Drake? Would you prefer the Drake and the Siege Graug, or just the Siege Graug? So it's something of, like, what kind of other situations would we have seen if Talion jumped on the siege ground rather than the Drake when attacking the fortress.
Actually, I had a really fun experience attacking a fort with these guys this morning. So, sort of had my army set up, was going to launch the assault on the fortress. I bought in my own siege beasts, which was something we didn't have it show in the original announce, but you can bring your own artillery.
Oh, that's awesome.
So bought my siege beasts in, and then the enemy, they also had siege beasts on the wall, so they're firing at my guys. And then I went up and I wanted to get on my own siege beasts, because you can mount them and then you can use them like turrets or like cannons. So you can ride them, you can aim them, you can shoot at enemies.
So we'll bring up that picture in a second, but please continue.
But as I was approaching him, he got hit by incoming artillery from the guys on the wall, and it blew the ballista off. So his siege weapon got blown off, but he's still a Graug, so he's still alive. So I could still jump on him and then use him to charge the walls, climb up the walls of the enemy fortress, and then on my Graug, beat the shit out of the enemy siege beast, destroy him, and then sort of leap down into battle. So I think that's one of the fun things about the game, is just the level of chaos you can get in the sandbox, because every single element of the game, whether it's the siege beast or the Drake or the spiders, everything can interact with everything else just to create this complete chaos.
Oh man, that's fantastic.
And then there's different sorts of ammunition or artillery you can get for the different siege beasts as well. So you can fire poison projectiles, cursed, spreading flames, sort of napalm on the battlefield.
We talked once about how you could have gems that would buff around different things. If someone was to wear a gem that helped your mounts or poison, would that also stack onto that siege Graug specifically?
It
was a complicated. Sorry,
yes.
A couple layers. Would there be a way to use one of the gems to increase the power of that siege Graug?
Yeah, if you equip gems that are going to boost the power of mounts, or the other case I was thinking about, just as you were asking, is if you have you can have orcs, so followers or war chiefs with traits that'll give buffs or that'll boost certain attributes as well. So if you have a war chief that you install defending your fortress, who's going to give a buff to flame damage, for example, then he's going to work really well in conjunction with using siege beasts or Graugs that are firing flame weapons.
Oh, that's fantastic. Gotcha. Okay. So one of the other things that we were discussing, which with this particular scene that I really think is fantastic, is when one of the things we've continued to push forward about the Shadow of War's bigger thing is the verticality of everything. And you can this is one of the best scenes to look at and see, hey, check Minas Ithil, it's what you see here, you can go to. And in this case of climbing buildings and jumping from different things, this particular moment, the orcs are attacking you using the siege Graug to fire back. What kind of in a situation, that verticality that you provided, what new sort of strategy I've played a few of them, but what ones have even you found yourself doing?
Yeah, so there's a few elements to that, because as with everything, whatever we add to the environment or however we change the environment affects the player side. So your ability to go anywhere, that's something we really took from Shadow of Mordor. If you can see it, you can go there. You can climb everything, you can go everywhere. And so we had to speed up the player a lot. So now we see things like we can use Celebrimbor's elven agility to double jump through the air. As your the rhythm movement that we had last time, where you can tap A, you can use that when you're climbing. So you can basically shoot right up the side of these massive buildings. So you're incredibly mobile. But the thing is, the orcs and the enemies are now also smarter and more mobile as well. So as well as you being able to climb up, use the rooftops, travel around faster, more of the enemies can follow you up there and climb after you and ambush you or shoot you on the rooftops as well. So, and then now you've got flying threats. You've got drakes that are in the air. You've got the Graugs that can climb up on anything. You've got the Caragors that can pursue you. So there's more verticality and opportunity for you to use the rooftops to travel around, ambush your enemies, do death from above, shoot at and manipulate different elements of the environment. But there's also the fact that your enemies are going to be doing the same thing and chasing you up there and ambushing you from up on those rooftops as well. And obviously there's a lot more verticality in Minas Ithil because it's a city, it's an urban environment, but that same idea is extended to all of the different environments. So Seregost that we saw in the first demo with with the ice caves and with the mountains and with the different outposts. So it's something we've applied both here in the city but throughout the whole open world and the wilderness as well.
Oh, that's fantastic. You know, one of my favorite things in Shadow of Mordor is when you're fighting on a bridge and you knock someone off the bridge. Yeah. Now it's rooftops kind of thing.
It's rooftops, or it's off cliffs into rivers of lava, or it's, into the ocean. Like it's, throwing guys off things never gets old.
Ooh, that's fantastic. And I guess that's also that situation where if you're being chased, now you're scampering up onto a building and using the verticality and different, terrain as a way to help run from these orcs that are chasing you, but they're smart enough to keep up as well.
Yeah, or to ambush you, or to chase you, or to shoot you while you're climbing. So just trying to make everything more dynamic and everything interact more as well. So it doesn't matter what combination of ingredients you put into the sandbox, you're going to see some crazy outcome.
Oh, that's awesome. Actually, kind of related to that, one of the new things we have is with the glaive, and which is actually, we have an image of that one too, which I wanted to talk about a little bit, because in the case of with the glaive, it's one of those things that's a very simple change where all of a sudden now you have an ability to be knocking people down when they come up and attack you. But it was just, to me, that opens up the strategy crazy, because, I mean, if we're on a rooftop and you suddenly knock a bunch of people back.
It's actually, it's fairly simple, but it really changes combat pretty enormously in a number of ways. One, excuse me.
No worries.
One, because we have these larger scale battles and we have more enemies to deal with, so giving you the tools to be able to deal with bigger groups becomes really important. And but it also adds a whole dimension to the combat of your balancing time against space against your positioning. So instead of just focusing on, okay, I'm building up my hit counter, I'm hitting X, I'm just looking for the timing on that. Now it's, okay, I've created enough space, I've got the opportunity, I'm going to charge the glaive, now I can sweep and take out all of these guys at once. Now I've created that opportunity to go and do a ground takedown and finish them. So it just adds enormously to the sense of variety and depth within the combat. And plus, it's pretty awesome being able to send all these guys flying.
Oh, yeah, it's just the massive feeling so powerful with that. I mean, I found myself, when I was trying it out with that, I would use it as a way to knock a war chief or someone over in that way, and then I could do a ground finisher on top. And that was a very consistent capability.
Yeah. Ooh. Yeah, it changed up a lot.
Yeah. All right, so just to fill you guys in real quick, we're going to start doing a vote again. Not immediately yet. I'll announce officially when it starts, but questions about anything related to kind of like the verticality, to the sort of, I mean, we were talking about double jump, which is such a fun one. I mean, actually, this is one thing I heard today from Mr. Mark, who's actually hanging out in chat, which was jumping over someone using a vault, like you would in Shadow of Mordor, and then using a double jump.
Yep.
And then we've seen the slow time thing, and then shooting someone slow-mo after you vault over and shoot them, kind of thing, like a bunch of them. Then why not finish them off with the glaive?
Or shadow strike down to someone, or shadow strike down to one of the fires to detonate that to explode them. Oh, that would be awesome. And then from killing them, go into clicking the sticks and go into Elven Wrath and take out the rest of them, and then, jumping on the Caragor that's on fire. Like, just the possibilities for kind of showing off or different.
And this is all on a roof while we're knocking people off. And then there's a Drake in the corner coming in. Oh, that's fantastic. Okay, so we can take an opportunity to look at some of the questions related, remember, to this segment specifically. I saw someone asking about headgear. At the moment, we're focusing on this part. So let's see. Looking for questions. Can you climb trees? Was it a question that popped through that went very quickly? And I'm curious, can we climb trees?
We don't actually have climbing trees.
Yeah. There you go. No.
Some things we don't have. Most things we have, we don't have. But no.
Let's see. We have a question from Gigalad. It looked like, how many different types of siege weapons do we have?
So it goes through. It's siege weapons. We can bring up to 6 war chiefs with us.
Right.
Each one of those war chiefs.
This is for a fortress assault?
When you're attacking a fortress, each one of those can bring a different upgrade for the assault with them. And then each one of those has about 3 choices, so it's close to 18 different choices.
So the strategy.
Yeah, that can mix and match. And they're a combination of things. So some of those are the artillery, like the siege beast, and then they can fire different weapons. And we also have some specialized units that are just for the assault. So, for example, we have sappers, so guys with bombs. Like, you know, when the Battle of Helm's Deep,
right,
the
guy
guy with the explosive runs in. So we've got those guys. We've got banner bearers who can plant banners to inspire the troops around them. So it's a combination of different units, different troops, different traps, siege beasts. The good thing with Ologs and trolls and different monsters is basically they're living siege engines.
Right.
So in the actual Middle Ages or things like that, you know, people had to build battering rams, or they had to build siege towers, or they had to build catapults. So now we've got basically monstrous versions of all those things. Yeah, we've got air power if you're bringing a Drake in. We've got Ologs who are basically living battering rams, can smash their way through the doors. We've got Graugs who are living siege towers in the sense they can get up to the walls and just scramble straight over. So
to that question, a lot. You can bring a lot of siege-focused kind of thing.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic.
And then, of course, you're choosing which followers you're bringing as well. So whether they're, you know, mounted or Ologs or different classes. So there's a lot of choice.
Gotcha. That's awesome. Okay. I saw someone questioning, could you brand a Graug and then bring them as a siege beast?
Yes.
There you go. So that's a fun one.
Yep. Yeah. No, the Graugs are great because the other thing we've expanded a lot is they can now climb anything. So you can really go full King Kong in terms of, you know, get the Graug, climb up the biggest tower in the thing, leap off, come smashing down, you know, land on the ground.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Very cool.
Oh, cool. All right. Let's see. I'm going to look for one more question related to this. How destructible are the fortresses from casual Harkland? Because we saw that in the demo. You could blow up the wall and then people streamed in. How much destruction would be there?
You can destroy the gates. You can destroy the towers. You can breach the walls, so you can get in through the walls. And then there's some other like key areas inside. We have different monuments for the different tribes and things that are destructible as well. And then, of course, we have all of the spreading flame and the barrels and the cages you can open and so on.
Oh, fantastic. Okay.
So it's not full destruction of anything in the world, but it's all of the sort of tactically important things. So, gates, walls, towers.
So not the bulldozing effects, but the, like, as you said, the okay.
Yep.
Perfect. Gotcha. That's fantastic. Yeah, okay. So with that, let's open up the next vote. We have 2 more options, and we'll bring those up in just a second. So now we have the options to focus on Barrows or allies. Those are the next 2 ones. So go ahead and start doing the votes once you guys see that, and we will move on to that one. Seeing the votes going through now? Sounds good. Vote Aslar. You know what's funny is we actually have track of anybody who doesn't do the vote correctly. So when you get like vote Aslar, it'll show up as invalid vote or these other things, and it will let you know what those votes were.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. So hypothetically, we could
just
vote Aslar. He could win.
Hypothetically,
invalid.
I don't know what I'd say. I didn't plan for that. But it is always an entertaining thing. So we seem to be focusing currently mostly on the Barrows. Actually, it's cut pretty down the center. 50% Barrows, 47.7% allies, with very small 3.3%, excuse me, 2.7% of invalid vote. We're gonna check that again.
Shelob.
It's all right. It seems like actually allies are taking the win now. Go ahead and bring us up to full screen, and then we'll give them a little bit more time. And because I want to see if I can catch a question as we're going through. Because I see someone said vote corgis.
Did you have a corgi in here?
Well, what happened actually was that a corgi became my co-host at one point because I had an empty chair and I was like, oh no, I need a co-host. And so I had used an image of a corgi smiling because it was an adorable dog to help see the lighting of the room. So Corgi Brimbor, or Kara Corgi, has been what chat has dubbed the corgi. And it's honestly been a lot of fun with that. So it looks like allies is our selected one. Yeah, so let's do allies. That'll be a good one. So we'll start showing allies. We've closed the vote. We're now doing allies, and we'll finish up with Barrows. And we got allies behind us already. Perfect. So okay, for me, this is one that's come up a lot, which is people were asking, are we going to interact with humans?
Yep.
And let's talk about the Gondorians a little bit.
So there's a few different answers to that. One is the story itself.
Right.
So we have these story characters. We have Idril that we're meeting here.
Shield Man.
Yep, of Gondor. We have I don't know what we've have or haven't revealed about the story and the different characters. But anyway, there's
a lot.
Okay.
I'll catch you on that one, yeah.
There's key story characters and the key story missions, and we're going to work with them. But again, what's different from last time is we can also summon those, meet those characters out in the sandbox and the open world, and also our side missions have been expanded a lot this time. So now the side missions also have fully fleshed out stories and character arcs. So it's not just, last time we sort of had the main story and then we had more stamped out side missions. Now all of the side stories also have cinematics, characters, story arcs. Everyone's a custom mission.
So let's say, for example, Idril was one of the people who stood on the fortress. So assuming that we had, as a story could involve a side arc with her, for example.
Yep.
Versus in Shadow of Mordor when it was like, oh, this is the Akarn dagger missions kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. They were much more just sort of gameplay focused, or they were much more just on a template, whereas now those are full stories as well. Okay. But then on top of that, there's the general Gondorian soldiers. And the humans definitely aren't as fleshed out as the orcs in terms of the Nemesis system, but we do allow you to meet them out in the sandbox, to rescue them in different missions, and also to call them in and summon them to help you out in combat as well.
So, like, this scene that we have behind us right now, this could have been, like, they, demonstrated as the attack on Minas Ithil, but let's just say it was somewhere later in the game, you could actually have brought these soldiers with you.
Yeah, so it's the D-pad's basically what you're using to summon bodyguards or followers or mounts or creatures. So you could summon Gondorians or you could summon spiders, basically however you've configured that for who you want to help you out in combat. Obviously, I would go spiders.
But it wouldn't necessarily be like, oh, this is my human, bodyguard, like an orc bodyguard kind of thing.
It would be the same in the sense that they would arrive and help you out.
Right.
It's not the same in the sense we don't have the fully kind of fleshed out Nemesis system for them. So orcs just have a lot more personality than human beings, as in real life.
It makes sense. I mean, we're all orcs according to Tolkien at one point.
Indeed,
so.
indeed.
All right, let's
in the Great.
Yeah, in the Great War. Let's bring up the fortress picture actually, because this is, I think, a really cool one to kind of introduce.
Oh yeah, actually, yeah, that's cool.
So, because we talked about, at least, because you can see Idril is currently in the center.
Yep.
And then you can see other various
I was going to point that way, but that would, of course, be completely wrong.
I know, it's a funny world kind of thing. But
so in the same way that we have the war chiefs guarding the various fortresses, now we have Gondorian captains in those positions.
Right.
And then we have the Lord Commander of Minas Ithil up the top. And so, in the same way, these guys are responsible for guarding the fortress and for that hierarchy. So this is sort of in a way the way that we introduce players to the whole notion of the hierarchy and the power structure and the war chiefs and the commanders, with the orc army kind of besieging the city as well.
That's awesome. Very cool. All right, so it's like we can kind of see this is almost like the introduction to the idea.
And then, of course, because this is Minas Ithil, and when it's taken over by the Witch King, that same hierarchy is then going to be the hierarchy of the Nazgul. And then, of course, your goal is going to be to take them down and take the city back.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's awesome. Okay, so let's let's ask feel free to fill us in some questions right now related to the Gondorians and maybe a little bit of Idril. And I actually saw a question that I think would be important for us to talk about, which was from Elvhadir, I think was the name. Can we brand humans or dominate humans?
No, so that's going too far even for Talion. So using the Ring of Power to actually dominate your enemies, bend them to your will, not let them fight according to their own free will is kind of not what they forged the ring for. But you're already, by definition, on the same side as the humans. So they're going to be fighting alongside you. They're going to be allied with you anyway. I just thought there are some exceptions to that. Because, I mean, technically, Nazgul are humans.
Right. That have been dominated.
Yes.
Kind of thing.
Yeah.
What was the line of, like, something along the lines of men are surprisingly easy to bend to like one's will. Because I remember when in the discussion of the rings, like the dwarvens were too stubborn. You know, the elves realized what it was, but but humans were easy. Yeah,
the dwarves more gave into greed, so that was the trait that we saw Thorin and giving into. Men are easy to succumb to the temptation of power.
Right.
So, except Talion, he'll be fine.
Yeah, he's okay. I actually see this question come up a lot, which is, can you kill humans? Just flooded through.
So we can't actually kill humans in the game. We can hit them with our weapons, but we're not killing them.
Right. I actually
save that for the orcs. Well, again. Except insofar as Nazgul are humans.
Right, exactly. I mean, humans.
So you can kill dead humans.
They're perfect. You know, re-dead.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. There was another question, which was, can we bring humans into a fort assault?
Yes. As if they're slotted in and you're able to summon them as your bodyguards, yes.
Cool. So humans can join you. Let's see. Looking through. As a reminder to everybody, questions that are to this segment that we're discussing are the ones that we're looking for to answer. So, as I'm trying to catch up, let's see. There was a question about, I don't know if no, not doing that one. You guys almost got me to bring that one up. Ooh, here's what, can humans betray you?
I'm not saying. I mean, clearly in real life they can. So,
So
hypothetically, yes.
It is possible for a human. Oh man, can you imagine that? Let's see. Is it possible for human allies to kill captain and war chiefs in the open world?
Yes, it is.
Oh, there you go. So they're pretty much like they're not as fleshed out as an orc with the Nemesis system, but they do have the ability to fight. Right?
Yeah, in terms of your ability to summon them in and use them in combat, they're definitely.
Here's one that I thought was pretty fun, which is, if you have humans and like your own war chiefs together, are they going to fight each other at any point? Because they're technically orcs and humans side by side.
So your ring of power and your alliance with the humans is going to make everybody get on in that situation.
Perfect. There you go.
Actually, one of the biggest problems we're having at the moment, or one of the biggest challenges to balance and get right, is how aggressive your followers should be in killing enemy war chiefs.
Right.
Because it's that fine line. Like, you really want your followers to be helpful, you want them to kick ass, you want them to be awesome. But at the same time, when you're focused on killing someone, and especially if you're focused because you want to dominate someone, and you're like, this guy's going to be mine, this orc's amazing, I want him in my army, and then your incredibly helpful follower steps in and like caves his skull in with a battle axe. You're like, no! What are you doing? So that's something we're trying to tune at the moment.
Oh, that's like one of those emotional, I love you, but I hate you now.
Yep. That's a good question. Agent Johnson, will the Nemesis pool be bigger than the last game? It's very, it's much bigger in every dimension. So the variety of the orcs is larger. The variety of the ologs, the classes, the advanced classes, the abilities, the traits, the flair, just their features, heads, personalities, piercings, hairdos, just everything. But also within each region, there's more captains and more orcs. And then there's many more regions.
Right.
So,
fantastic.
Bigger in every possible way.
Gotcha. Okay, so I actually saw a question which was, can humans be an overlord? And I guess so we have one for right now behind us.
Yep.
We have a human overlord. But would that happen, I think the question is, could we assign a human as an overlord?
No. So once you're within Mordor and once you're kind of turning the orcs against each other and trying to conquer Mordor, that's a job for the orcs.
There you go. So let's go ahead and move on to our final segment. Which was the Barrows. We would have you guys vote, but you'd be all choosing one thing, and I'm sure it would say vote Aslar, probably. So in that case, let's move back over to the Barrows and talk a little bit more about that. We'll grab another question as we wait for that to occur. Let's see. Oh, the Barrows one specific. Oh yeah, sorry. Yes, let's jump to this one. I forgot my own script, straight up. That's a switch.
I forgot your script too.
Oh, no worries about it. I was just laughing because it's so behind us right now is actually something I wanted to start talking about in relation to the Barrows, because you can see above us, specifically above Talion's or Celebrimbor's head, an Eye of Sauron.
Right.
And the thing is that those are the new Towers of Silver. kind of thing.
Yes.
So it's let's talk a little bit about more like how does the new kind of experience with that look?
So we have the Palantir,
Right.
which was actually, they were forged by Celebrimbor's grandfather,
Right.
who was Fëanor. So he made those. So they're these sort of perfect seeing stones. They're used for communicating and seeing things across distance.
Right.
Sauron can't actually reproduce or forge those things to the same level of quality, but he's
Right.
made these other sort of imitations. So they're Hadir, they're a different sort of seeing stones, and he's basically deployed them around Mordor as a surveillance system. So he's using it as kind of command and control. So it helps him see what his armies are doing, helps him keep control and monitor what's going on within Mordor and beyond. So basically by taking those back and taking control of them yourself, you're taking over his surveillance, you're taking over being able to see what's going on and kind of control the space within Mordor.
That's awesome. So, for example, you would go up, you would take this over, and then one of the things is since we're now able to see what he's able to see, we can also begin to see the sort of side and new missions related to it too.
Yeah. So it's a surveillance system basically. So you can reveal secrets on the map, you can reveal locations, you can reveal enemies, all sorts of things. So it's another way of gaining intel about the environment and the battlefield and what's going on.
Oh, that's awesome. So, okay, so we have the ability to see that. And actually, now this is the part where we specifically go into the Barrows, which is what I was jumping ahead to when I was thinking about it. It's almost, we're back at the arena again, but we'll be jumping back to Barrows in just a second. It's, there we go, back to the Barrows. They're on the video, just so you guys all know, they're like 1 second off each other, and we're using the video to hop around to this. So what you guys are seeing, straight from the IGN first video. Let's talk a little bit more about the Barrows specifically. I was actually a little bummed that you revealed this yesterday on the video, which was that in the Barrows, you get to play as Celebrimbor.
Yes, so these were built at the time after Celebrimbor had been dragged back to Mordor, forced by Sauron to perfect the One Ring, stolen the ring, raised his army, and kind of battled against Sauron. And he built these as part of his kind of network or the series of bases within Mordor at the time. And so from within these, there's a couple of things you can do. One, you can go up and you can relive moments from Celebrimbor's past and his war as these different kind of combat challenges. It's a little bit like, it's in the same timeline that we explored in the Bright Lord DLC, which was playing as Celebrimbor at that time. But we get to expand a lot on that. Expand more on that now that we've expanded the combat system more and we've expanded on the enemies more.
Gotcha.
But the other thing, by doing that, you also reliving and re-meeting the most powerful orcs that were part of Celebrimbor's army at that time. So as you're unlocking those, you're also getting access to Celebrimbor's ultimate armor set from that era as well. So there's a really great legendary gear set that you get by going and reliving these kind of the first war for Mordor when he had the One Ring. Oh, that's awesome. And then also the Ithilden puzzles throughout the basically the riddles that you can find within the world. They also unlock a puzzle within the Barrows, and as you open the doors of that also reveals other kind of extremely cool gear that's within these. So they're a reward for exploration and puzzle solving and also access to these challenges in Celebrimbor's past.
Oh, that's awesome. So it's like these Barrows, not only they have new mission styles and story related to it, like you said, the more fleshed out side story, it will reward you with this cool armor set. And then on top of that, you have these collectibles out in the world that you would use our new Towers of Silver, the Haldir, and look around and then be able to find those and then open up the new door of loot.
Yes.
Oh, that's cool.
And so the guys who are wearing the armor, basically, the way we normally get gear in the game is by killing these Nemesis enemies, by these powerful orcs. So what's behind these doors is the corpses of some of the most powerful orcs that have ever lived.
Oh, that's fantastic. Gotcha. Okay, so would you pick up, like, since Celebrimbor was a smith and didn't just make armor, would you pick up weapons as well during this?
It's the whole, all of the legendary gear sets have multiple pieces. They have runes that you can inscribe in the ring. They have capes. They have the armor sets. They have swords. They have the dagger. And then another cool thing we have now is that within range, we've expanded it. So we don't just have the bow, we also have versions of the crafting hammer that you can basically throw like a tomahawk as well. So,
so I'm assuming like Celebrimbor, you would be unlocking like the Celebrimbor hammer actually to throw that instead of using the bow.
Yeah, so it's a lower rate of fire, less range, but incredibly powerful impacts as well. So
that's cool. Could you expand a little bit on the powerful impact, or are we going to leave that one?
Well, it's all of the weapons. So whether it's the bow or the hammer, they can have a range of different effects. Whether it's like freezing enemies or exploding them.
Freezing.
But the thing that the hammer often has is like a big area of effect blast when it impacts. So it's really powerful against groups of enemies and sort of crowd control.
Oh, so that would be kind of like let's say you stopped in midair, you throw the hammer, it's almost like this grenade explosion kind of thing. Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah, it's kind of a Middle-earth rocket launcher.
I love that. Someone just choked on their popcorn. I love that comment.
They're fun.
Oh, man. So, all right. So this was a big one. So to kind of, you're on the hell there. You're finding all the Thilden words to open up the door. You get loot. You're in the actual Barrows. You have the opportunity to play as Celebrimbor, and then while you're playing as him, you learn his side story and unlock this crazy, fantastic armor set. One of those things is actually, which we just revealed now, is the hammer, which you can throw and has this new effect that's different than the precision of the bow.
Yep.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, they're fun. And so every region you go to is going to have the Barrows, going to have the puzzles, going to have the exploration. Middle-earth's just so amazing in terms of the depth and detail of the world and the richness of the history. So as well as all the awesome combat and the Nemesis system and the story, I think it is just fun being able to explore and find and uncover all of that history as well.
Cool. So with that, let's do questions specifically on this segment. And then after we have those questions, I guess we'll open up into a little bit more general segment. And we'll get out of here. I guess that sounds like a good 15 minutes or so or something like that. Seems like a good feeling because we've dropped a lot on you. We don't want to just keep dumping so much that you are forgetting, because this has been a lot of stuff that we've had a chance to share. So let's see. Luke Master loves the Middle-earth rocket launcher. Yeah. It's a good one. I like that.
Cool. Well, the thing with the hammer as well is it's not only that you're using it as a range weapon, it's also a pretty awesome melee weapon as well.
Yeah.
So whether you're using it to stun enemies or whether Celebrimbor as the Wraith has fatalities, because we can do like multi-takedowns now as well. So, yeah, it's awesome. I mean, we saw that a little bit in the announce as well, where Celebrimbor actually used that to kind of execute Stormbringer.
Oh, that's fantastic. Let's see. Right now, still questions just on the Barrows, and then we'll open it up into more. Man, you guys are just doing questions, going through. I love it.
Can you brand legendary orcs? That's a good question.
Oh, there you go. That's
yes, absolutely. So the cool thing with legendary orcs is you've got this really interesting choice because they're really powerful. They've got very powerful traits. So you really want them as followers. But if they do die, they're going to drop legendary gear.
Really good gear.
So you're always on this kind of emotional roller coaster of, I love you, but I wish you were dead.
Right. It's just beautiful. It's a wonderful relationship. It's like what true strong relationships are built on. I saw a question from Azathoth, which is, what kind of puzzles would the Thilden door kind of be? Oh,
I mean, in classic Lord of the Rings style. So the Gates of Moria that they went into had that
speak friend
and enter. So Celebrimbor is the guy that wrote that riddle and that inscribed those doors in a Thilden. So that's the key puzzle behind these doors is the riddles and the poems. So you're collecting the clues and the words out in the world, and then you have to come back and solve those to open the door. So
it's awesome.
Classic Middle-earth.
Classic Middle-earth, indeed. So I think I'm going to say go ahead and do general questions right now, actually, because you guys are asking questions so quickly. I'm trying to pick out the ones that within segment will go everywhere. Let's see. Now it's just going faster. Look at all y'all. I love it. I got one that it seemed like you had one, but I have one too.
Oh, no. Someone just asked what is a Thilden. Oh. So a Thilden means moonlight. It's basically it's words written. So it's this, without nerding out too much, Minas Ithil, which is the city, is the tower of the moon. So Ithil is moon.
Same root.
And Ithilden is moonlight. So it's the reason that the Gates of Moria only show up at night. And you sort of there you go. So that's a Thilden.
There was a question that was, like bringing in a siege Graug to your own fortress attack, could you bring a Drake, your own Drake?
Yes.
There you go.
And spiders.
And spiders. Drakes, spiders, yeah, you know. Just
Corgis.
Corgis.
No corgis. All of those except the corgis.
Kara corgis. Just a sad one. Let's see. Are all regions of the Nemesis system connected?
They're not. You don't walk directly from one to the other. They're separated, so you fast travel between them. But each region itself is a pretty expansive area of open world.
Right. Okay. There you go. Let's see. As we go. Some people asking about, can you command your followers from Sergeant Ryder 14 during a fort assault? So, like, you guys take the right flank, you take the left.
Not directly. So you can dismiss them. You can summon them. You can call your bodyguards in. But we really wanted, once you're into the action, that it is a third-person action game. So you're very much focused on yourself moment to moment, rather than having to kind of tactically order guys around.
Cool. Oh, there you go. That's another one. Can you brand all war chiefs and be let in during a siege? It says Storm Shadow. So I guess, like, you just walk through the gates?
Yep. But you've still, the thing you can't do, so you can go through the gates, they'll open it up, you can head straight in. You're still going to have to go and face the overlord in the keep.
You can't walk straight in with that guy. Okay, cool. Let's see, what other ones do we have? Let's go ahead and also make us big people again, because it's we're talking about different things behind us, so we'll change to that. Let's see, we got a question from Furcio, which was, can Urks use great axes, hammers, or big swords? So what weapons are Urks going to be using?
All of those and more. So clubs, hammers, axes, spears, mallets, chains. Pretty much if it's nasty and will do horrible things to human flesh,
that we saw
they're going to use it. Yep.
Oh, that's awesome. Let's see. Oh, questions. Do you have a different army for each region, or do you need to keep building a new army in each region that you go to?
You do build different armies within each region, and really it's mainly because we didn't want people to have to micromanage moving guys around, but you can actually get training orders which will allow you to move some of your favorite guys around.
Someone you particularly thought was fantastic.
Yeah, but we didn't want the right way to play, or the min-maxing, to be really micromanaging, shuffling guys constantly, so it is the exception, but you can do it, but you do actually build each army in each region.
Okay. Main focus being that main each region, possibilities there. Cool.
And there's different difficulty levels within each region. So when you're in Gorgoroth, in the heart of Mordor, the guys are tougher, there's more of them, so, you know, it's at a different level of difficulty. So some regions are going to be easier than others.
If you grab from a different region, you might bring them in and be like, I actually don't want this guy with me. I'd rather get a new one.
Yeah,
Oh, okay, cool. Let's see. And once again, thank you, everybody, for all the questions. It has been very fun to have you guys here. I think we're going to do about 3 more questions. Probably larger questions in there. Here's an interesting one from Steampunk Gaming.
I've seen a lot on Barrow Whites.
Oh. Do you want to tackle that one?
Yeah, so we do have undead. So that, I'll say that much.
Oh, there you go. Just I'll consider that one a quick one.
Yeah, so there's different categories of, you know, undead. We see the Barrow Whites, we see the Army of the Dead, we see Wraiths. So we will have undead.
Okay. I saw a question that I thought was pretty fun, which was a personal question to you. What is the favorite feature that you have seen from Mordor to War? It's a big question, I know.
It is a big question. It is. The reason it's a hard question is because what's fun is the way everything interacts. I think my personal favorite is in the Nemesis system is the way that the stories and the way that their memories and their histories have been expanded. So last time we had scars, so a guy could get a burn scar or whatever. Now where we've taken that to a whole new level, so the guy can just become scarred all over his body, and then he can get flame axes that go with it, and he can be sort of obsessed with fire. So it's not just like we have a scar, but the gameplay and the personality and the identity. So just the feeling that you really are making these just iconic, super memorable villains, and so that whole story of having your own personal nemesis is something I think we get a lot closer to realizing. So some of the orcs you meet now are just amazing. Like, they're so cool, fun.
That's fantastic. So I'm seeing a couple questions reoccurring. So I think I wanted to hit one of those, which was...
That's the hard ones.
The hard ones?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, the specific reoccurring ones I wanted to hit quickly, which was...
Okay.
They said they were asking about the blue armor. They're like, can you change the color of the armor? I was going to let them know that blue is what we go with for the Bright Lord.
For your followers.
Right.
But for the captains, they're each going to have their own identity or their own,
Right.
you know, they've got enormous variety in the armor. So the blue versus red is really just on the grunts, just on the standard soldiers.
There you go. So blue is the specific one, but they dress themselves as their war
Yeah,
chiefs.
and that's really the blue versus red is so it's just easier to tell
Right.
what's going on in battle.
Exactly. Another quick one, which was, can Talion swim?
He probably could, but he doesn't.
There you go. Probably could, but just not an opportunity to do so.
Yeah.
So I wanted to just get those ones through because I've seen them, I think, the last 4 streams, those specific ones. So I was like, there was from Palmson 15T, which I think would be fun to expand upon, which, because you mentioned it, are there multi-combat orc executions? So you mentioned that a little bit. Can we expand on it?
Yeah, we've got a ton of orc executions. So each tribe has unique executions. Each class has unique executions. Ologs have executions. Different elements, like we've got flame-based ones where they're going to, you know, burn the guy to death or poison.
Awesome.
There's just a ton of brutalities and executions. Like watching the orcs fight each other. Again, sort of going back to the earlier question about the favorite thing. Orc infighting, now that you can actually, you know, if you get a level 25 fire tank and you put him up against a level 25 Beastmaster assassin, like just the possibilities and the combinations of these guys fighting each other and watching them fight, because they've got so much more animation. So they're dodging and they're weaving and they're using special attacks. They're throwing grenades, they're planting mines. So that goes back, I guess, to the beginning of what we're talking about. The arena just becomes super fun.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah, infighting's cool.
Cool. Let's see. We're going to do, like... Actually, can orcs have throwing bombs or poison-tipped arrows? Or maybe flaming arrows?
Yes, yes, yes.
There you go. Another quick one.
Triple yes.
Let's see. I'm looking for another bigger bit of stuff. That one's a quick one, but we could talk about that one. It's a...
yeah, so the death threats this time, it's a similar idea. So you tell your target that you're coming for him, so he's ready, he's prepared. So he's going to train, he's going to upgrade, he's going to become more powerful. But there's 2 things that are new. One is you'll actually get a mission placed in the game, so to go and draw him out and defeat him. So they're more like the War Chief missions were in Shadow of Mordor, because they were some of our most fun missions. You'd have to go, you'd have to draw him out using the confrontation mission, then he'd come out and then you'd face him. So we've used that as a reference for how the death threats work. And the other thing now is, because the gear system is so much more expansive, and so getting epic gear and getting higher level gear is so much more valuable, the death threats are a lot more worthwhile, because they're a way to have a tougher fight, but they're also a way to increase your chance of getting epic gear as well. So there's better gameplay and better rewards out of doing them.
There you go. That was a much more interesting answer, honestly. Because I was going to say, yeah, it's there, but it's so much more to add to it. But I think let's do one more question, and then after that, we'll close out and chat a little bit. Let's see. So this is one that I think I saw there was, can you have more than one bodyguard, was a specific one. So let's actually talk a little bit more about the bodyguards again.
We had it for a while where you could have multiple bodyguards, but balancing-wise, it kind of wasn't working out where we wanted, so we restricted it back to you have one at a time, and that's a cooldown. But, of course, your bodyguards can have mounts or gangs or different units with them, and plus, as well as being able to summon your bodyguard, you can summon your mount. So the fact that in any fight, you can bring in some, you know, incredibly powerful orc plus a Drake, if you've upgraded it to that level, you've got a lot of power to kind of bring those guys into combat.
That's awesome.
But it's one bodyguard.
One bodyguard. Okay, there you go. So with that was going to be our last question. You guys of course have many more questions. So tweet us at Shadow of War Game if you have more questions. Go ahead and jump in the Lithium forums. That will pop up. The community.wb, if I can. Community.wbgames.com. Community.wbgames.com. That's the spot to talk to us. We also check the subreddit, and or tweet at Kublai Khan, at Salisbury, Andy Salisbury as well. We will chat with you guys for some of those questions as well. I mean, I believe that we've covered every of our social other networks that you can ask us questions. I think that more or less wraps it all up. So please continue talking to us. Thank you for hanging out. It was a total joy to see you guys. Happy to share so much info.
Yeah.
Thank you. Always a pleasure.
See you again soon.
Yeah. And with that, I think have a good evening.
And we're gonna
actually.
Sorry, I was just gonna say there is tons more stuff coming up on the IGN First stuff as well. I think they're putting up like 2 or 3 videos a week for the next few weeks.
Yeah, they said all month. So
yeah,
it's like
there's a ton of new stuff coming.
Yeah, and expect us to kind of deep unpack that as well here. Yep. And we're Friday at 2 p.m. again. Actually, that's the thing I wanted, because today is a Thursday special one, but next week it's Friday at 2 p.m. again. And that, I believe, is everything that we have.
Cool. Have a nice Easter.
See you, good people. Bye.
Bye.